Hello there, Mr. Sutton here, bringing you the IM381 Extra Practice Solutions on mean, median, and mode. For this list of numbers, we're trying to find the mean, median, and mode. Let's start with the mean. To get that, we just have to figure out the sum of all this stuff divided by the number of items. So let's add all this up, and we could probably do this without the calculator. So we've got, let's see here, 15 plus 15 is 30, plus 20 is 50, plus another 25 gives us 75 for the total, and there's 5 items here. So 75 divided by 5, that's going to be a mean of 15. Now for the median, we have to arrange these in order and then find the middle number. Well, the good news is if you look closely, they're already in order. That was really nice of them. So I'm just going to rewrite that stuff. And now I'm just going to cross off numbers at the ends until I get to the middle. So 5 and 25, I'll cross those off, and then 10 and 20. And that leaves me with a middle number, a median of 15. The mode is going to be whatever item is repeated the most. Now, since all of these are repeated exactly once, that means we have no mode on this one. To find mean, median, and mode of this data set, let's first start with the mean by adding all of these together and dividing by the number of items. And I'll just add these all on the calculator. So adding all those up, that's going to be 36. So we're going to have 36 divided by the number of items, which is 6. So 36 over 6, I can do that without a calculator. That's 6. So that's our mean. To get the median, we have to write these in order and then pick the middle number, or in this case, there's going to be 2 middle numbers, so we'll have to average them together. But let's get them in order first. So the smallest number out of this batch is 4. After that, we have a 5, we have a 6, and we have 1, 2, 3 of those 7s. So I'll just cross off numbers at the ends until I get to my middle number. So we have a 4 and a 7 we can cross off, and then the 5 and the other 7. And that leaves us with 6 and 7. Now, if there's 2 numbers in the middle, again, we have to take the mean of those numbers. So our median is going to be the mean of 6 and 7. 6 plus 7 divided by 2. That's 13 over 2, which is 6.5. And now for the mode, that's the number that gets repeated the most, and that is definitely 7, which is easier to see now that we have this arranged in order. So 7 for the mode. For this problem, to get the mean, we have to add all these numbers together and divide by the number of numbers. So let me just do that on the calculator. Adding all those up, we get a total of 169. And then how many of these are there? It looks like, let's see, here's 4, and another 4 gives us 8. So let's see what that comes out to on the calculator. 169 divided by 8. And that is a mean of, rounding to the nearest hundredth, 21.13. So because of this 127, we can see that that's really pulling up our average on all these otherwise relatively small numbers. So now let's get the median by writing these in order and picking the middle number, or the mean of the middle 2 numbers. So our smallest number is 1, followed by 2, and then we have a 3. After that, we've got 2 of these 7s. And then we have an 8, a 14, and the 127. So crossing off the numbers at the ends until we get to the middle, we've got 1 and 127, and then 2 and 14 get crossed off, 3 and 8, and it looks like we've got 7s in the middle. I mean, you can go to the trouble of averaging them together, 7 plus 7 over 2, but you know that's going to come out to 7. So that is our median. And for the mode, that's going to be the number that gets repeated the most. The only number repeated at all in this is these 2 7s here. So the mode then is going to be 7. For this one, we have a list, and we're trying to figure out the mean, median, and mode of this. So let me start with the mean. I'm going to add all of these together and divide by the number of items. So adding them together, I don't think I need a calculator for this. We've got 3, 6, 8, 13, 14, and another 5 of these is going to give us 24. And there are, looks like 10 of those. So divide by 10 to get 2.4. Now for the median, we have to put these in order and cross off numbers till we get to the middle. So we've got 1, that's the smallest number. After that, we have a 2, but not just one of those. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those 2s. And then we have 2 of these 3s. And then finally we have that lone 5 at the end. Crossing off the outer numbers, we have the 1 and the 5, and then the 2 and the 3, another 2, another 3, and then it's all 2s. We got these 2 2s, and then there's 2 2s left in the middle. So because there's 2 numbers in the middle, we have to average them to get the median. So that's going to be 2 plus 2 over 2, which of course is 2. And now the mode, that's going to be the most repeated number. Well, there's 6 2s and nothing even comes close. So that 2 then is going to be our mode. On this problem, I'm trying to find mean, median, and mode for this dot plot. So let's start with the mean. That's the sum of the data divided by the number of items. So let's start with the number of items, just counting the dots here. So we've got 1, 2, let's see, this is 6, 12, and we've got another 5 after that, so 17 total. So we have some big sum of numbers divided by 17 for the mean. Now let's see what we're actually adding together. So I'm going to translate each of these dots into some kind of number so I can actually use my calculator. Our first dot represents 13, then we have plus 14, and we have 4 of these 16s, so I'll write plus 4 times 16. After that, we have 6 of these 17s, and then 2 of the 18s, plus a 19, plus a 20, plus a 23. Let me add all that on the calculator. So adding all of that together carefully, we get 291. So we have 291 divided by 17. And let me go back and just actually divide that by 17. So divide 17 to get rounded to the nearest hundredth, we'll do 17.12. Okay, so now we move on to the median. So that's the middle item after all of the items are put in order. Now the nice thing is all of these are already in order since the number line here is in order. So we're just going to start by crossing off the outer 2 items, and we'll just work our way into the middle. So we have the 13 and the 23 are gone, and then 14 and 20. One of these 16s and the 19, another 16 and one of these 18s, another 16 and the other 18. Now we have the final 16 here and this 17. We'll do this one up here. And then we have, let's see, this 17 and this 17, this 17 and this 17, leaving us with this little dot in the middle, which represents 17. So since there's only one dot and it's 17, that is the median. Now for the mode, that's the one that appears the most, which we can tell just by looking at who has the most dots. And that is also 17. For this one, we have a stem and leaf plot for which we want the mean, median, and mode. So we'll start with the mean. First, let's figure out how many data items there are, and then we'll add up all the data items and divide by the number of items. So counting up my leaves here, let's see, I've got a bunch in this first row. There's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then we have 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So we're doing a whole bunch of stuff added together, divided by 16. So what are we adding together? Well, we have to be careful reading this. So when you're reading these out, I mean, this first stem here, we have a 0 followed by a 1. So you might be thinking, well, this represents 1. However, you got to be careful. If you look at the key, everything is actually needing to get multiplied by 1,000. So when I add these together, I'm going to write 1,000, and then I'll open a parentheses, and I'll add what it looks like I'm adding inside. So I have a leaf of 0, 1, which is just 1. We have a plus 3, and there's 3 of those, so I'll just do 3 times 3. We have a plus 4 times, plus another 4, so that's 2 times 4, plus a 2 times 5, plus an 8, plus a 2 times 9. And here's where we get more into the whole stem versus leaf thing. So this next one is a 1 followed by a 9, so 19. And we understand that this really represents 19,000, but I've got this 1,000 out here covering that. And that, in fact, that was the example they gave in the key down here. The next one I'm adding is 26, which really means 26,000. And then we have 36. There's nothing for the 4s, so we don't write anything for that. But then we have a 57 and a 58. And let me just add all that stuff in the numerator up on my calculator. All right, so off camera, I've entered this whole numerator into the calculator. This is why I love calculators. They just take care of all the PEMDAS for me. Press enter, and that is exactly 250,000. And again, we're dividing that by 16. So going back up here and actually dividing by 16, it looks like that is 15,625. So that apparently is the average or mean number of tent campers per year at national parks according to this fictional data set. Okay, so how about the median, the middle value? So we have to write all of these in order and then cross numbers off until we get to the middle. Now, the good news is we've actually already got these sorted in order because stem and leaves are already in order, both by stem and by leaf. So we're just going to start with this 1 here and this 58 and cross them both off and work our way toward the center. So like I said, 1 and 8 are going away. Then we have this 3 and 57. And then this 3 and 36. And then this 3 and 26. Next, the 4 and the 19. Now we have a 4 and a 9. 5 and 9. And then 5 and 8 are left here. So what this really means is we have to average these together. So that's basically 5,000 plus 8,000 divided by 2. And if you do that, let's see there, that's going to be 13,000. Half of that is 6,500, which you could do on a calculator if you wanted. So that's the median number of campers at national parks per year. And you'll notice it's a lot less than the average. The average, we had these two values down here, 57 and 58,000, really bringing everything up in terms of the average, but it doesn't affect the median as much. Now for the mode, that's the item that appears the most, and it looks like we've got 3 of these 3s, and I mean you can figure out the mode just by looking at what we wrote here. We had 3 3s, and we had no more than 2 of anything else. So it looks like the 3,000 then is going to be our mode. On this one, we're trying to find mean, median, and mode for this frequency table dealing with appearances in a basketball tournament. So let's go ahead and find the mean first. Let's first figure out, well, we're going to have to add up how many items there are and then divide by the sum of all the items. So let's talk about how many items there are in the first place. To figure out the number of data items, we can just add up these frequencies because this column here is telling us how many of each of these other things that we have. So we have a 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 1. All of that down there is the number of items. And for the mean, we'll just add up the items and divide by whatever this number down here is. Now for adding up the actual items, so we had 2 appearances. That happened twice. So we're going to have 2 times 2 for that item. And then 3 appearances, that happened 3 times. So there's 3 sets of 3. So that's going to be a plus 3 times 3. And then we have 4 sets of 4 appearances. So that's a total of 16 appearances. But we'll just write 4 times 4 for now. And then we just appeared 6 times once. So that's just 6 appearances. Here's 13, just one of those. Here's a plus 14. We had 2 of these 17 appearances. So 2 times 17. And then one of these 45 appearances, which is pretty crazy. So this must be like different teams and how many appearances they had. Okay, so adding all that together, let me do the numerator and denominator separately just so I can write a simplified fraction before I actually get the final answer. So for my numerator, adding all that stuff, we end up with 141. And for the denominator, probably don't need the calculator. I can just add this by hand. So let's see, this is 5, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15. But let me divide that on the calculator now. 141 divided by 15, giving me 9.4. All right, so for the median, now we have to figure out, now normally you would have to write out all the items in order and then pick the middle value. But with frequency tables, you just have to figure out kind of the number, the item number of the middle value. And to do that, we always take the number of items, add 1, and divide by 2. So 15 plus 1 over 2 tells us that our median is going to happen at item number 8, whatever that is. So to figure out what item number 8 is, since these are already pretty much in order, we just have to keep adding the frequencies until we get a number that's bigger than 8. And then we'll know that we've passed item number 8. So after these first two here, we've got 2 total appearances. And after this 3, well, that's 5 total appearances. After 4 more appearances, or 4 more sets of these 4 appearances anyway, we've got 9 sets of appearances. And it looks like we just passed the number 8. So that means our median is going to be somewhere in this list of 4 appearances. So our median then is going to be 4. And moving on to the last piece now, the mode, that's the one that appears the most. That's just the one with the highest frequency. 4 is the highest number in our frequency column, and the data that goes with that is 4 appearances. So that's our mode.